Tweet from ALX. DC U.S. Attorney Matthew Graves is making clear the DOJ is now going to target Americans who were around the Capitol on January 6th, but did not enter the building. As we enter this 2024, understand that it's only just begun. And I've made this, I made this warning before. After this, I said they're going to go after journalists, which they're doing.
Yep.
And without calling out any of these individuals, I've talked to some journalists, and we all know Steve Baker, Blaze contributor, is being targeted. And I've told these guys, hey, look, man, they're like, I have a congressional press pass. I have a press pass. And I'm like, you think that matters? With what we're seeing, you think that matters? Look, the Democrats will cheer for it, and they'll make up some argument as to why you as a journalist should get locked up. The Krasensteins will play defense, where the people like the Krasensteins will come out and say, I don't know if journalists should be getting arrested, but I really do think the courts should decide. And when they do, that's the right choice. Then a heavily biased jury will hear that a conservative journalist was in the Capitol, and they will say, you should go to prison. I want to play this clip for you so you can hear exactly what the DC U.S. attorney had to say. It's only 30 seconds long.
Inside of the building. An important note when it comes to our prosecutions about those who remained outside the building. We have used our prosecutorial discretion to primarily focus on those who entered the building or those who engaged in violent or corrupt conduct on Capitol grounds. But if a person knowingly entered the restricted area without authorization, they had already committed a federal crime. Make no mistake, thousands of people occupied an area that they were not authorized to be present in the first place.
Let's break down what he said. People who knowingly. Then he says thousands of people, as if to imply all of them. What's coming next, I think, is going to shock the psyche of the American people. When we go from, what are we at, 1,000 or so prosecutions or convictions, 890 some odd years Joe Biden was bragging about. It's going to be wild when they've been setting up these Capitol police offices across the country. We know they did it in Florida and California. It's going to be wild when you could have been someone who was just standing there in the grass.
Yeah.
Owen Schroyer didn't go in the building. Mm-hmm. He went to prison. The precedent is already there. You did not have to go in the building to get arrested. Owen Schroyer. Now, thousands of people are at risk. Hey, here's an easy way to remove thousands of Trump voters. Right. Arrest them so they can't vote. Don't be surprised if come August, we start seeing mass raids overnight, pop, just people getting locked up. We won't even know who these people are. Take a look at the censorship waves of Twitter. We all know about the high profile censorship, but the big play when Twitter was censoring people was they were targeting small accounts that no one knew about or could defend. A Trump supporter with 300 followers gets banned. Who's he going to tell and who's going to report it? The same thing will start happening. But I believe the next play is going to be to go after people who posted on social media before January 6th in support of January 6th. There were high profile individuals tweeting out support for violence. Now we know that you can be Ray Epps and advocate people crash into the building several times and guide people there. And you will get recommendation, I think, 6 months? And if you're Enrique Tarrio, who wasn't even in DC, 20 years. What do you think is going to happen to the people who are on social media in the weeks leading up to January 6th, who are saying that people should engage in these activities? I want to clarify. I'm not talking about a guy who went on social media and said, I think people should protest. And no. They may come after that kind of stuff. I'm talking about there were high profile commentators who were saying that people should engage in more, let's just call it direct actions, including physical protest on the grounds up to the point of entering the building.
Let's not be naive. Up until January 6th, a lot of people were calling for a big protest. I mean,
the left was calling.
Actually, the left was calling.
But hold on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The left was too.
I'm not worried about the people who are being like, we got to protest in DC. Yeah. I'm saying there were high profile people with hundreds of thousands of followers saying things like storm the building. They will come after those people. We've already seen some people flee the country. Some you know about, some you never heard of. But people who were there, funny, they're gone. I mean, they post on social media. I'm not going to say their names. But I would not be surprised to find that there's one guy, a couple 100,000 subscribers. One day we hear the feds raided him. I was never in DC. I was never there. And they're like, here's multiple videos of you telling people to engage in criminal activity, you're under arrest.
Well, that's who they'd want to get more than somebody that was there. They want somebody that has more influence. So I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised. But what they did was entrapment. They knew there was FBI agents there. I mean, whether they tell us that they're there or not. So we talked about Jeffrey Epstein earlier about the honeypot. This was the biggest honeypot of our entire generation, I believe, because a lot of people knew what was going on that day. Like the FBI, they knew that there were going to be people there. We talked about this earlier, the mag locks. People wouldn't have gotten in the building if somebody didn't press a button to let them in. So
there's a video of people, there were already people inside. They climbed through windows. But there was a big crowd at a door that was magnetically locked. There's a video where people walk up to it, like 3 or 4 people. They turn around and look up and point to the door. Someone hits the release. It could be a protester who broke in, a rioter. It could be a security, who knows? But I will say, even CNN has reported on more than one occasion evidence that police fanned people in. 2 stories. One, you've got CNN reporting Joe Scarborough's outrage over the fact that police let people in the building and opened the doors. CNN reports Joe Scarborough says, "You effing opened the doors for them," to the Capitol Police. CNN also reported on a man who was acquitted because the judge agreed. The police waved him into the building. Now, I'd just like to point out real quick to the CNN guys who are trying to rag on Vivek Ramaswamy. The definition of inside job, do you know what the definition of inside job is? It's actually really, really, really light. Let me just pull it up for you. A crime committed by or with the assistance of a person living or working on the premises where it occurred. So if the police effing opened the door, as CNN reported, Joe Scarborough complained about, I would call that an inside job, wouldn't you?
Of course. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that obviously the government knew that they were going to come in. And when you talk about people getting prosecuted for just being around, I mean, Tim, they created, a lot of people would have just got misdemeanor trespassing, but they created, if you, I think, you interrupted a federal meeting. Now they're all charged with felonies now. Yeah. So, I mean, the idea that they're going to go after people that just were bystanders outside. No, they're going to go after everybody. I mean, I just don't, like he said, I think it was a resource issue. Not that they have more resources. They're going to continue to go after more people.
It's your tax dollars at work under Biden.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
You know, we saw this happen with Brandon Straka, and it was interesting, the quote unquote double standard there between how he was treated and how Ray Epps has been treated.
Yeah.
Because we saw Ray Epps clearly on tape whispering in a person's ear before they break in.
He's in the front line storming the barricades.
Yeah, telling people we need to storm it.
He's like, we need to go inside. We got to go inside.
And
everyone's yelling
no. Everyone's yelling Fed at him. They're calling him a Fed. And it's funny because the way the media was responding to this very obviously strange silence from the agencies on what he had done, the media's response is, well, he didn't go in the building. He didn't go in the building. Come on. What kind of conspiracy theories do you guys believing? He didn't go inside. Okay, Brandon Straka didn't either. And they were threatening him with like 20 years and he had to plea down.
There were members of the Proud Boys that went away who had not gone in the building. I mean, this is like...
Rick Kataria wasn't even in D.C.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. What I think the worst part of this is going to be regular Americans who were there to see Trump speak, who wandered over, who are not specifically involved in anything, who are now going to live in fear. They're going to question whether they should display Trump flags at their house. They're going to question what they should say online. They're going to live in paranoia because they don't know. And
there's already people who fled the country.
I mean, I think there are regular Americans I know who were on lawn in D.C. Coincidentally, they were there to see Trump speak, who are saying, like, I don't know if I should travel internationally. I'm afraid to go to the airport. It really is going to mess with the psychology of the base of Trump. Some of them will dig their heels in and say, I don't care, come get me. But for a lot of people, they'll be afraid of what they're risking by being open about what they believe in.
My favorite thing that I've seen so far, there are a lot of high-profile individuals, as I've mentioned, who were cheering on before January 6th happened. And it may be because they love to just be these boisterous characters on the internet. We're saying things like, yeah, we're going to go to the Capitol, blah, blah, blah. And then to see these people so quickly after January 6th, no, Trump's bad. I'm opposed to Trump now. I don't think anyone should vote for him. I'm for someone else. I'm like, oh, are you? Or are you hoping and praying that they'll overlook you because you've bent the knee to the deep state?
Yeah. I think that's the real question. Anything to freak Trump voters out and also to panic Democrats, right? Like every time they put out a thing saying we've arrested however thousands of people, like the day before the anniversary of January 6th, they said there's been over 1,000 arrests made in connection to January 6th, and that's both has two effects. angers people who feel like that is ultimately entrapment day, and it makes Democrats think they're all around me. It's my neighbors. If they've already arrested 1,000 people, how many people got away? And it's to scare them into voting for whoever their candidate is. Even if they don't like Biden, at least he is not a Republican, because all Republicans are bad. That's the narrative that they want out there. And that is very divisive. I mean, this is what really bothers me about the Biden campaign right now, which is ultimately they are leveraging fear above anything else, but claiming that that's Trump, that Trump is the one saying, oh, you should be afraid, or we're going to do whatever. They misquote him with his, like, I'll be a dictator for one day all the time, to make you feel as though you, being the average, Democrat, maybe moderate voter, think that if you don't act now, the world is about to fall apart, when that's just fundamentally not true. It's a lie that the left is selling.
Yeah, definitely. They've been selling the idea that even from the beginning, I remember them saying, oh, what do they think? Taking over the Capitol really do anything to affect the U.S. government? Are they crazy? Like,
it turns out, yes, because it gives us a reason to prosecute people who don't agree with us. And in fact, a way to hold up Trump's strongest supporters as the enemy of the state.
Well, before we switch topics, I just want to say this. Tomorrow, Ray Epps' court date is tomorrow at 10 a.m., so I'm going to be outside the courthouse, see what happens. So we'll see. And if I get a chance to yell at him, I'm going to call him a Fed. No, that's allegedly. I don't want to get in trouble for it.
One thing I'm actually curious about here, too, with some of these people, especially what we call the MAGA tourists, are the application of statute of limitations. So my understanding, I think what trespassing is like 2 or 3 years for statute of limitations. So some of this stuff, I don't think they would be able to go after.
Well, that's why they add the felony. No, I'm telling you.
So that they can go after.
But they can't go after them as it is. And they've already got people on trespassing. And I made this point in 2021 that if it's a Simpsons joke. Homer's talking to, who's he talking to? And he's like, you mean if I can invite someone I'm legally allowed?
That's right.
And then he's like, hey, Flanders, come over here. He's like, it doesn't work if you invite him in. It does not work if you invite him in. You can't invite someone somewhere and then arrest them for it. And this is what we see happening. The police opened the doors and were fanning people in. The argument from the left is, no, they were fanning the cops to come in. Does not matter. There's no signs. There's no barricades. You can make an argument that the people who tore the barricades down and removed them, they committed the crimes. Agreed. The people who walked in afterwards, seeing cops waving people in, they thought they were being let in. Right. So the first thing that has to happen is, sir, you need to leave. You're trespassing. Sorry about that. I'll leave. Then if they refuse, now you say, okay, you've been warned. Now you're trespassing under arrest. So they shouldn't have even been able to go after these people in the first place. Yeah. So and they'll make up reasons.
And we'd all agree that if they just charged these people with misdemeanors and gave them all probation, nobody would even be mad. But the fact that they're throwing the book at the MAGA granny, people that have cancer, I mean, you can tell that, it's malicious what they're trying to do.
Well, the granny was from a different state. Everyone keeps posting that picture of the old lady.
Yeah, I know that was a different one. I'm talking about the one that had cancer that I think she was like 67.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.